Uncertainty gripped the streets of Paris on Monday as lawmakers prepared for a confidence vote in the National Assembly. Prime Minister François Bayrou was expected to lose, deepening France's political paralysis at a delicate moment for Europe. If Bayrou falls, President Emmanuel Macron will have to appoint another government leader to push a budget through Parliament. Less than a year ago, Bayrou's Conservative predecessor, Michel Barnier, was also ousted. Macron has ruled out dissolving Parliament again. The crisis threatens France's ability to reduce its debt. Bond spreads have widened, signalling rising concern from investors over French creditworthiness. Economist Sylvain Berlinger warned that without reforms to reduce the deficit, rising interest rates will make it harder and costlier to finance debt.
I think we will not have a public debt crisis in France this autumn or next year or even in 2027. But I think that if we don't act now to reduce the public deficit, it could happen that in a few years, maybe 10 years, 15 years, we could be in a situation quite comparable to Greece and with a real public debt crisis, which means that the investor worldwide doesn't trust the government anymore and doesn't want to lend money to the French government, which leads ultimately to a public debt crisis.
On the streets of Paris, opinions were divided. Some citizens called for tighter spending, while others demanded higher taxes for the wealthy.
I'm in more of a wait-and-see attitude, since there's a bit of instability. We don't really know. There have been several prime ministers, it seems to me, in 1 year. So it's more of a wait-and-see attitude, but not a very reassuring one.
Really a renewal, because with the old ones, we don't see much change. So generally, there are no changes to the old acts, etc. I say to myself, sometimes we should create new things to see. In fact, what can be improved.
I think the vote of confidence was requested a little too quickly now, because his policies haven't yet produced any results. I think it's inevitable he'll be removed. Unfortunately, that's just how it is.
Bayrou's budget plan sought to cut the deficit to 4.6% of GDP in 2026 from 5.4% this year, with savings worth nearly 44 billion euros. Opposition parties have rejected the proposal. A major problem is that parties cannot agree on how to cut France's debt, now at 113.9% of GDP. The deficit was also nearly twice the EU's 3% limit last year. Analysts say that whatever happens next, France appears headed for a period of political instability.